Candace Owens, the outspoken young conservative from Turning Point USA, caused a stir recently that caught the attention of some very prominent people when she got into a confrontation with Black Lives Matter protesters at an event right here in Los Angeles.
I can guarantee you what you're seeing happening is victim mentality versus victor mentality. And I promise you, the people here are going to win. Victim mentality is not cool. I don't know why people like being oppressed. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I love oppression. We're oppressed. 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, which, by the way, none of you guys lived through. Your grandparents did, and it's embarrassing that you utilize their history. You're not living through anything right now. You're overly privileged Americans.
That set off quite the storm, and look who weighed in. Music superstar Kanye West saying, quote, "I love the way Candace Owens thinks." When he was attacked for that, he went even further, openly tweeting his support for the president, saying, quote, "You don't have to agree with Trump, but the mob can't make me not love him. We are both dragon energy. He is my brother. I love everyone. I don't agree with everything anyone does. That's what makes us individuals, and we have the right to independent thought." The president, perhaps not surprisingly, wrote back saying, "Thank you, Kanye. Very cool." TMZ's Harvey Levin even got Kanye and Candace together in a wide-ranging, freewheeling interview to talk about the support for President Trump, the backlash to it, and the state of politics and race relations in America.
Of course, logically speaking, America is not a more racist country today than it was 6 years ago, so why are black people worse off? And this is when I deep dove into the policies and I started to understand, wait a second, okay? When LBJ created his Great Society, it essentially enslaved black people to the government. So my whole thing when I go on campus is to help people understand that the bigger the government got, the smaller the individual got. And for black Americans, okay, our opportunities were taken off the table.
People love to say all, every, blah, blah, blah. It's not that. It's 100 sides to every story. So if you talk about Trump, yeah, there's a laundry list of things that I don't have in front of me that my friends will text me or write me emails and say, he did this. Some of them Obama did too, you know, but it wasn't, you know, as loud as, wow, the room is quiet in here. The room is quiet now.
Joining me now to discuss all of this and more, Communications Director for Turning Point USA, Candace Owens. Candace, I'm so excited that you could join us. I've been wanting to talk to you about all this for ages. I'm really happy that you're here. I just wanted to go back perhaps to the thing that kicked all this off, that event where you said something obviously that really riled up the left. Could you just tell us what the message was, what your message was that got them so annoyed?
You know, what the video footage doesn't show is that we had Black Lives Matter protesters that were shouting us down as we were just trying to speak about free markets and why I think that capitalism is really the best structure to benefit the black community and why I do support the president. And we invited them to come into the front and they kept shouting. They were playing loud music, Beyonce music, hitting the door and saying F the police while they were around us. So I lost, you know, my cool a little bit. And I told them what I thought, which is essentially that they're all a bunch of spoiled Americans. And I really do believe that, is that we haven't lived through anything as millennials and the generation beneath us, and they like to pretend that they're oppressed. And quite frankly, I'm tired of the narrative. It's fake.
And it seems to me that one of the reasons that they were so angry was that the message was coming from you, a young black woman, standing up for things that are so alien to their worldview. What do you make of that, and whether that might be part of this cultural shift that a lot of people are talking about? Do you think that's real?
Well, the truth is they weren't angry with me. They couldn't identify why they were angry. They've just been told for so long that they have a right to just shout and scream and be angry, but they're not able to articulate what the reason is that they feel that emotion. And you're absolutely right. We're on the brink of a cultural shift. So for them to see me as a black person saying that I own everything that I've done in my life, that I do not view myself as a victim, despite the fact that I have lived through some hardships, and that I feel like I can be a victor of my past, that I can stand up on a platform and I can say what I believe in. And ultimately, the message that I was preaching was that I believe in them. I believe black people can get off of this victimhood narrative and that they can exit it and feel strongly and do anything that they want in their lives.
And one of the things that was interesting to me was, and you saw the backlash to what you said, some on the left, I mean, I'm thinking particularly of Ta-Nehisi Coates, for example. He wrote at length about all this and basically didn't engage with the substance of the argument at all in terms of which policies, what kind of policy agenda helps black people or hurts their interests. He basically went for this kind of cultural point and said, look, people who make these arguments, he specifically talked about Kanye, and I think he threw Michael Jackson in there, they're not really black at all. They're basically become white, but now they're rich. They're really white people. What do you make of that?
I'm going to be really frank here, and I'm going to use strong language. I refer to people like Ta-Nehisi Coates and Al Sharpton as plantation supervisors. They make their bread and their butter off of making sure that black people remain as victims, and by telling black people that they cannot. So I am strongly against him. I'm strongly against everything that he represents. And of course, he didn't attack the substance of the argument whatsoever, because that's not his job. Race has become a business, and he has been benefiting off of it. He's rich. Al Sharpton's rich. Maxine Waters lives in a $6 million home, while the black community is struggling. How is that plausible? It's because they say things they don't believe. They do not believe in the victim narrative, but they understand that saying that they do lines their pockets.
It's so interesting because it feels like it's another version of what you get from the left all the time. It's why they support policies that keep people in welfare dependency, because, whether they're
Correct.
black or white or any other race, because it means that they're in charge, they're in control, and it perpetuates their system of control. That's right, isn't it?
That is absolutely correct, and that is what I spoke about that day in front of Black Lives Matter. I spoke about the welfare programs that have been keeping us down as black people altogether. I spoke about the fact that 70 years ago, black people were doing better in this country than they are doing today. How is that plausible? For sure, nobody is going to stand in front of me and tell me that America is a more racist country today than it was in the 1960s. So how is it plausible that black people are doing worse off? The answer is government dependency. Government has gotten enormously larger, and they have made sure that black people continually join these welfare programs and think that they're being helped, when ultimately we are being harmed.
So how do you think the narrative has got established? Because what we're discussing here is basically the agenda of the left is the opposite of what they say. They talk about freedom and helping people and so on, but it's literally keeping them down, keeping them dependent. How have they managed to, if you like, hoodwink people for so long?
So it's very simple. There are three verticals. The first is family. With the welfare programs, with the introduction of the Great Society Act, they successfully broke down the black family by incentivizing women not to marry the father of their children. The black single motherhood rate has jumped 73% since the 1960s. So in turn, the black youth then started to look towards the second vertical, which is culture. They defined the idols. This is why they took over Hollywood. It's infested with liberalism. It's why it's so important for Hillary Clinton to tote around Jay-Z and Beyonce when she's running for election. And then the third vertical, which is super important, which we attack at Turning Point USA, is education. We learn our history wrong in school. There are black people that still believe that the Republican and the Democratic Party switched. That's an absolute myth, but it's taught to us in school.
So what are you doing at Turning Point and through other means to try and turn all that around? Tell us a little bit about the where this goes in the future.
Yeah, so we attacked those three verticals. Obviously, when I linked up with Charlie Kirk, I didn't know how I was going to attack the educational vertical, and he was already doing it. He had boots on the ground. He was starting these chapters, these Turning Point USA chapters, which talk about free markets, capitalism. Today, those are considered conservative values, and empowering people to believe that you can solve your problems without the government. It's crazy to me that people don't understand this concept. It really shows you how far we have gotten away from the American dream and why Trump's message has resonated so strongly. I understood, obviously, the importance of culture, understanding that we had to go after the idols. I very quickly off the bat started attacking Jay-Z and Beyonce and referring to them as traitors, because that's really how I feel. I feel that they have betrayed the black community. They have gotten to the top. They understand what's going on, but it serves them more from a power stance to pretend that black people are victims. Their music is counter to everything that they're saying, and this is why I have gone after that. And then, we have events. We're empowering people. We have these huge summits every single year, and this is the first year that we're doing a Young Black Leadership Summit, which I'm super excited about, getting black people from the projects to come in and hear the message that they are being told about, that's being misconstrued by the media, which has become completely devious on the left.
Candace, honestly, you are a real leader. What you're doing is really brave and really important, and it's really exciting to see the optimism you're bringing to this. Stick around. We'll be talking to you a bit later on in the show. So, Candace, in terms of the people who are responding to your message and the movement that you're building, what's their take on the media landscape and culture, whether that's in entertainment, but also in music? Do they hear what they believe reflected in the culture, or not really?
Absolutely not. Look, culture and the media, it used to provide a window into the hearts and the minds of the American people. It no longer does. It almost feels like we're being punished for not agreeing with these certain hosts and not agreeing with these certain platforms. And unfortunately, this is why people are starting to turn it off. So with the revival of Roseanne and with Tim Allen coming back on TV, what you're seeing is American people responding and saying, thank goodness somebody is standing up for me and my ideas and what I believe in. We are definitively on the brink of a cultural shift. And if the media doesn't do something differently, if they don't start actually telling the story as opposed to selling it,